What happens when one of the world's fastest rising pop stars falls in love with an Oscar-nominated actor and then has to watch the relationship unravel under the glare of millions of eyes? That's exactly what played out between Sabrina Carpenter and Barry Keoghan. Their romance was short, sweet, and explosive, but the aftermath has been anything but quiet. And now, months after their split, Sabrina is finally breaking her silence. Before we get into the romance, you have to understand the moment Sabrina was stepping into. By the time she crossed paths with Barry, she wasn't just the girl from Disney Channel anymore. She was topping charts, headlining her own shows, and making a name as one of the sharpest songwriters in pop. What sets Sabrina apart is her pen. She doesn't just write catchy hooks, she pours her life into her songs. From heartbreak anthems to playful digs at exes, she's built a reputation for weaving real-life relationships into her lyrics. Fans love it, but it also means anyone she dates has to accept one fact. There's a good chance they'll end up in a song. And that brings us to Barry Keoghan, an Irish actor known for his intense performances in films like The Banshees of Inisherin and Saltburn. When rumors first swirled that these two had become an item, fans couldn't believe it. But somehow it made sense. Sabrina was skyrocketing in music, Barry was one of the most buzzed-about actors in Hollywood, and together, they were an unexpected power couple. It all started with whispers in early 2023. Paparazzi caught them together, and soon, grainy photos began circulating online. Sabrina and Barry spotted leaving the same venue, sharing quiet dinners, and looking way too comfortable for it to be casual. People were fascinated because they came from completely different worlds. Sabrina, the California-born singer with global pop appeal. Barry, the gritty Irish actor who'd grown up rough and worked his way into Hollywood's elite. On paper, it was an odd pairing, but in photos, the chemistry was undeniable. Fans quickly latched onto the couple, dubbing them one of the most intriguing new romances in Hollywood. Every red carpet Barry walked, fans wondered if Sabrina would appear. Every show Sabrina played, fans looked for hidden messages in her set list. And slowly, the relationship went from rumor to reality. By summer, the relationship was out in the open, and the internet couldn't get enough. Barry showed up at Sabrina's concerts, and fans swore she was singing certain lyrics just for him. They were spotted hand in hand in New York, dressed to kill at fashion events, and laughing together in ways that made people believe this wasn't just a fling. Sabrina has always been private about her dating life, but she couldn't completely hide the glow. Interviews hinted at happiness, and fans noticed little lyrical Easter eggs, like her now famous line about a cute boy with the white jacket and thick accent. Everyone connected the dots, and Barry's Irish brogue suddenly became the world's favorite clue. For months, they seemed inseparable. But behind the scenes, there were cracks beginning to show. The truth is, fame doesn't just shine a spotlight, it magnifies every flaw. By late 2024, reports began surfacing that Sabrina and Barry were struggling to keep their relationship afloat. Barry wasn't just an actor, he was also a dad. His young son, Brando, remained his #1 priority. And while Barry had already adjusted to the chaos of Hollywood, nothing could fully prepare him for the tidal wave that came with dating a pop star like Sabrina Carpenter. He wasn't just attending premieres anymore, he was dodging paparazzi outside restaurants, waking up to trending hashtags about his love life, and seeing strangers dissect his every move online. For Barry, that spotlight wasn't always flattering. Whenever Sabrina dropped new music, fans picked apart every lyric, looking for proof of who it might be about. And while that kind of speculation was fun for listeners, it meant Barry's name was constantly floating around the internet. Sometimes, in ways he never asked for. Instead of being recognized for his award-nominated performances, he found himself being labeled Sabrina's boyfriend, which reportedly started to weigh on him. Meanwhile, Sabrina's world was speeding up, not slowing down. She was headlining shows, juggling interviews, and gearing up for what many considered her breakthrough era. And with that kind of success, comes relentless fan interest. Every outfit, every caption, every pause in her setlist became a puzzle for fans to solve. Behind closed doors, insiders claimed the two were simply living in different rhythms. Barry's life as a father demanded stability and quiet moments, while Sabrina's rising career meant constant travel, appearances, and an online army dissecting every detail. It wasn't that the two didn't care for each other. It was that their realities were pulling them in opposite directions. And slowly, that tension began to spill out. What had once felt like a whirlwind romance was now starting to feel like a storm neither of them could fully control. In December 2024, it finally happened. Confirmation that Sabrina and Barry had called it quits. The news spread fast and almost instantly, the fan response took over. Barry ended up facing the brunt of it. On social media, Sabrina's fans, fiercely loyal and fiercely protective, aimed their frustration directly at him. Some accused him of not treating her right. Others speculated about what went wrong. To make things worse, TikTok edits comparing Barry to Sabrina's past rumored partners went viral, with comment sections filled with heated debates. In the world of stan culture, it wasn't just a breakup. It was treated like a public betrayal. Rumors multiplied at lightning speed. Was distance the issue? Did Barry's responsibilities as a father create tension? Was Sabrina hinting at hidden problems through her lyrics? With no official answers, fans had their own narratives, and Barry became the target of an online frenzy. Every photo he posted, every new appearance was dissected for clues. It reached a point where Barry himself had to step in. In a heartfelt post on X, he pleaded with fans to stop the attacks. His reason was deeply personal. His son. Barry reminded the world that one day, little Brando would grow up and read all of this. And the last thing he wanted was for his child to see a storm of online hate connected to his father's personal life. For many, it was a sobering reminder that beyond the headlines and gossip, there were real people and real families caught in the crossfire. But even that vulnerable plea didn't silence the noise completely. Some fans doubled down, claiming he was trying to guilt-trip them. Others softened, admitting that the passion of the fandom might have crossed a line. Meanwhile, Sabrina stayed silent. She didn't defend Barry publicly, nor did she criticize him. That silence spoke volumes to fans, who took it as proof that there was more drama beneath the surface. And as always, the less an artist says, the louder the internet fills in the blanks. For months, Sabrina stayed quiet. No statements, no interviews, just silence, which, of course, only fueled more speculation. But then came August 2025. In a sit-down with Gayle King on CBS Mornings, Sabrina finally gave fans a glimpse into how she felt. She didn't name Barry directly, but the context was impossible to miss. She talked about being upfront in her relationships, letting her partners know from the start that her music often reflects her life. She admitted that most of the time, her boyfriends were flattered to have songs written about them, whether the lyrics were sweet or stinging. That level of honesty has always been Sabrina's trademark, and in the interview, she doubled down on it. What stood out wasn't just her words, but her delivery. Sabrina kept her tone calm, almost playful at times, even when the questions veered into awkward territory. Gayle King pushed gently about Barry, asking if Sabrina ever felt guilty about the backlash he faced. Sabrina didn't flinch. She acknowledged that her fans are very loyal, but she made it clear that she never pointed fingers or told people who her songs were about. Instead, she brushed it off with a line that instantly went viral. "It's more fun for people to picture the person in their head than the person I picture in my head." That comment split the internet in two. Some fans saw it as classic Sabrina, protective of her art, unwilling to let outsiders dictate how she writes or lives. Others thought it was a subtle way of distancing herself from Barry's struggles, choosing not to step in even when he was under fire. Still, one thing was clear: Sabrina wasn't backing down or apologizing for her process. To her, songwriting is storytelling, and no one should expect her to censor herself for the sake of public opinion. That balance between transparency and mystery has always been her power. And in that interview, she showed she's learned how to use it better than ever. Beyond the gossip, Sabrina's comments revealed something bigger. For her, songwriting isn't about getting revenge or exposing exes. It's about expression. She views her art as something personal, but also universal. The details might be pulled from her own life, but the emotions, they belong to everyone. And then came the line that stuck with fans. "I think I will attract exactly who I'm supposed to attract." On the surface, it was just one sentence. But to listeners who have followed Sabrina's journey from her early Disney days to chart-topping pop stardom, it felt like a manifesto. She wasn't just talking about love, she was talking about trust. Trusting herself, trusting her path, and trusting that the people who enter her life, whether for a season or a lifetime, have something to teach her. Fans instantly picked up on this. Social media lit up with posts dissecting her words. Some saw it as Sabrina reclaiming control after months of headlines that painted her as either the heartbroken ex or the girl who wrote the breakup songs. Instead, she was reframing the narrative. Relationships aren't failures just because they end. They're steps in becoming who you're meant to be. Music critics echoed that sentiment. For an artist often caught between being praised for her honesty and criticized for oversharing, this statement positioned Sabrina as self-aware and fearless. Vulnerability, she reminded the world, isn't something to hide from. It's the very thing that keeps her relatable and human in an industry obsessed with polish and perfection. And perhaps that's why this single line resonated so much. It wasn't just about Barry Keoghan or any past flame. It was about Sabrina Carpenter stepping into a new chapter where she refuses to see heartbreak as weakness. Instead, every lyric, every relationship, and every rumor becomes another thread in the story she's telling, a story that millions can see themselves in. Sabrina is busier than ever. Her tour schedule is packed, with arenas selling out in minutes and fans camping outside venues just to get a glimpse of her. Every performance feels like a victory lap, proof that she's no longer just a rising star, but an established name. In pop, on stage, she delivers the same energy that first drew fans to her, blending polished choreography with raw, emotional vocals. Off stage, she's carefully curating her independence. Social media posts highlight her friendships, her creative process, and the joy she finds in her work. It's clear she's leaning into this era as one defined not by romance, but by self-empowerment. Barry, on the other hand, has stepped back into the film world with full force. After Saltburn solidified him as one of Hollywood's most daring actors, he lined up new projects that showcase his range. Directors see him as a chameleon, someone who can bring intensity to even the smallest roles. Yet while his career remains red-hot, his personal life has a different rhythm. He's often seen spending time with his son, Brando, prioritizing fatherhood above the glitz of red carpets. Insiders say Barry has drawn a line between his professional image and his private world, determined to shield his child from the chaos that comes with fame. Still, even with stars moving forward, their connection hasn't faded from public memory. Fan accounts still post throwbacks of their moments together, and every time Sabrina debuts a new lyric, theories immediately resurface about whether Barry inspired it. It's the kind of lingering curiosity that keeps this love story alive, even long after it ended. For Sabrina and Barry, their romance may be over, but the cultural imprint remains. And for their fans, the question isn't if it's truly behind them, it's whether their paths might one day cross again. Sabrina Carpenter and Barry Keoghan's relationship was never meant to be ordinary. It burned bright, fizzled fast, and left behind a trail of headlines, lyrics, and questions. But maybe that's the cost of loving in the spotlight. Every kiss becomes a headline, every breakup a public debate. In a world where social media amplifies everything, relationships like theirs rarely stand a chance at staying private. Fans, meanwhile, they want to protect their favorite star. But the passion of a fandom can easily morph into pressure. For Sabrina, that loyalty has been both a gift and a curse. Her fans elevate her music, filling stadiums and streaming her songs into the charts. But for someone like Barry, who never asked to be the subject of lyrical speculation, that same intensity can feel overwhelming. Their story shines a light on a bigger question. Can celebrities ever date freely when their fans see themselves as part of the relationship? Every lyric becomes a clue, every silence a statement, and every breakup an opportunity for the internet to play detective. For Sabrina, who thrives on turning her emotions into art, that cycle may never end, and maybe she doesn't want it. 2. It fuels her career, but it also keeps her tethered to the public in ways most people will never understand. And as Sabrina herself put it, she'll attract exactly who she's supposed to. The real question is, who will that be next? And what kind of song will it inspire? Because if history has shown us anything, it's that no matter how the love story plays out, Sabrina Carpenter will always find a way to turn heartbreak, hope, and everything in between into music the world can't stop listening to.